All right, it is 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, September 7th. I'm going to call the meeting of the River Plantation Board of Directors to order for our special meeting. First item on the agenda is to receive comments from the public. Anybody comment? Anybody have any questions? No? Okay. All right, on to number 2, public hearing on the proposed 2023 tax rate. Okay, last meeting we published a, was it 44 cents?
Correct.
44-cent M&O rate. Okay, we are short on our budget by about $400 and some thousand based on the budget I put together, and you have some questions. So if you want to ask me the questions you have about, maybe I can answer them, and then we can talk about the rate.
Julie,
yeah.
we have a special item. We have a public hearing item to receive comments on the tax rate. The public comment item, I know it's a little confusing. We just always have on the agenda for all other kind of items, if that makes sense. So if there aren't any comments on items other than the tax rate, I would suggest that you move to the next item, open the public hearing, and then receive questions and comments. If that makes sense.
Okay. All right. So no comments from the public
on the tax rate, yes.
Okay. Well, we're getting to that in a minute. Okay. All right. No comments from the public on anything else. Okay. So now we're going to go on to the comments from the public on the tax rate.
Public hearing.
Yeah, public hearing. So okay. So we have some questions up here first. Sure. So can I address those first?
Sure.
That's on the budget
Okay.
action.
Well, same thing, because it's going to affect the tax rate.
My question was just simply on attorney's fees. Do we need to talk about that now?
Because hopefully there's a lot of things that we're going to be reducing.
Yeah, so I don't have any other comments.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, thank you. With regards to the tax rate, I understand the debt service with the 25 cents per 100.
Correct.
But the increase appears to be 38% over last year.
Okay.
Actually, it's 47.5%.
Okay, so substantially more than 8%. Now, I'd like for the record, Davis, if you would requote the code that allowed you to present that last year to this board, that you can call this a developing community. Could you quote that to us and would describe why that's applied here when we have a park and we're not developing?
I will, if the board would like me to address it, I'll just tell you that there was a ruling that property is developable, a court ruling. So we had taken the position previously that property was not developable, and that question was litigated, and the court held that property is developable land.
Can you cite the case in which that was determined?
I'm going to guess it's probably River Plantation Properties.
Yeah, this is the River Plantation Properties litigation with the River Plantation Homeowners Association.
Right, it's the RPCIA versus it was River Plantation Properties, not Chrysler. It's pending before the Supreme Court right now, and the landowners won in the trial court and the Intermediate Court of Appeals.
Is this with Charleston Park? Okay.
No, it's with the other 18 holes.
Well, we're talking Charleston Park, 72 acres, for which the MUD has determined they would acquire that as a park and not as a piece of land that will be developed. And you know, as a board, that if you were to develop it, you owe the previous owner large sums of money. And you have to obviously get approval from the community.
We're not trying to develop it.
I know that, but you're treating it as developed property for tax purposes.
Developable.
Developable property, that's what you're doing. You're treating it as developable property. That's why you can exceed the 8% increase in the tax rate.
It's the other two holes that are the ones that were held to be developable. It has nothing to do with Charleston.
Well, I have here the minutes from the last meeting. Well, I saw it on the internet, where well, it's here. Developing District, Texas Water Code, 4923603. So you're applying the other 18 holes as developable, so you can apply here for us to get an increase in property taxes.
If I can say that the determination, that the argument was that there was a implied reciprocal covenant that prohibited that property from being used for anything other than a golf course. And it was determined that by both of the lower courts that is not the case. That is the same restriction that would have applied, or arguably, you know, that the CIA would have argued applied to Charleston. That is the issue of Charleston developing is now moot because the district condemned that property, and it is not going to be sold to a developer for development now, but it does not mean that the property is not quote unquote developable and cannot be developed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does that mean that the district can be considered developing every year?
In perpetuity. And I recall, especially I can point out one person on the board who stated, that's great, but we're not going to do that more than 8%. Well, here's year one afterwards, right there, year one afterwards, and we're up to what, 47%?
47.5.
47.5.
So here would be my comment on that, and I'll do that because I put together the budget. Would you like to have sewer and water to your house? Because with the amount of repairs and maintenance that we have incurred this year,
And legal fees, add legal fees in there.
and legal fees and accounting fees, and everything else.
I see the work product from the accountants. I don't see the work product for the work for the money that's been spent for legal fees, and that's part of our
That's your opinion.
That's the
So,
status report, you incur your meeting.
That's your opinion.
Okay.
We're
Time on the phone.
You don't see, well, how many times have you contacted them? How many times have members of the public contacted them? Every time someone from the public contacts the attorneys, MOC, the bookkeeper, it's a cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
My contact has been requesting meeting minutes from the secretary who bills us, the last time I saw was $100 an hour.
Well,
Okay?
they're posted on our
maybe
website. Why
two
can't you
times a
go to
year.
our website and get the minutes from the
Well,
meetings
before
on the
that, she
website?
didn't, it wasn't the case. It's only,
We've always, since I've been
that's, so it's been quite a while since I've done that, you're right. So it's been several years.
Okay.
That doesn't
So
apply.
every time someone calls them, whether it's the attorneys, whether it's the accountants, whether it's Lauren, whether it's MOC, us,
That's right.
well,
I know.
we don't get to charge them. But every time we call them,
Gets charged.
they get
The
charged.
point to my thinking,
Correct.
we're stretching what's called developing property by using the 18 holes to enable the MUD district, and we know that's not going to happen because it's a golf course. Now, if in fact it becomes...
Okay, let me go back to my question. Do you want water and sewer? Do you want to know how much money we
I'm
spent
saying
in front of your house
there's
in the
a way to
last
do it
3 weeks?
legally, kind of work on it legally. But to me, this is illegal. That's the way I look at it.
Well,
Because
you
you're
have an
saying
opinion
18
from
holes,
our
it's a
attorneys.
golf course. 18, I'm not going to do that, but 18 holes, you'll
You
roll
have
over it.
you have an opinion. He just gave,
Okay,
they just
he
gave you
gave
their
you opinion, but you
opinion.
stretched it because that's 18 holes of the golf course. And if it were to become developable property, when that occurs, building permits are issued, then that privilege would be given to you as a board to go more than 8%.
So what,
That's why I
so
look
what percent of your subdivision has to be developable in order for you to qualify? Because how many empty lots do we have that are in the process of being built on?
Quite a few, actually. There's
I think it's about 8 or 9.
No, 8 or 9, you're way
We
off.
do the calculation based on acreage, Julie.
Okay.
And what we do is we back out all the acreage that is in the, in the floodplain or floodway, not floodplain because you can develop in floodplain, but the floodway, and all the acreage has been developed.
Okay.
And we have a breakdown, that I'd be happy to send, out to the board if y'all like to see it. I'll also add, if you have a revenue shortfall and need to balance your budget, you have 2 revenue sources. You have water and sewer revenues, and you have maintenance and operations taxes.
That's correct. And so you go to the,
I know that
if you
I know
don't,
that the board is going to consider an adjustment to the rates, and that's certainly an option as well. Generally, the boards and communities view maintenance and operations tax as a preferable option when you're talking about system-wide repairs like these, because those are obviously deductible on your income tax, whereas your water and sewer bills are not. But that's just food for thought when thinking about the consumers and
Well,
the tax.
Julie, let me
And my concern with the water and sewer rates, which we haven't gotten to our discussion on that yet, but my concern with the water and sewer rates are you cannot guarantee that money. What if we have a year where we have a lot of storms and people don't water their lawn as much? What if people realize the rates went up and now they're conserving water? Well, that just decreased our revenues that we had planned on our
what I'm
budget
saying
for.
here, first of all, we're establishing precedent that we're a developing district.
We've established that last year.
Yeah, I know you did. Now we're exercising that privilege.
We
What-
did that last year.
What I'm saying, well, you didn't go up that much last year. You stayed within 8%. But you
I
agreed
don't
amongst the
think we
board to
did.
say at least 1 or 2,
It
to
was
say
how
we're
much?
not going more than
It was
8%.
over 8%.
Yeah, I
It was
thought it
over
was
8%.
too.
Okay, you were hoping, well, I understood, but it wasn't 47%. So the proper way to do it legally,
Don't
is to go-
keep throwing the term
wait a minute,
legally
I'm
because
saying
you're not an
legally,
attorney.
I'm
There's
saying
our
the way you do it
attorneys.
as a developed district is to go before the voters and present your
We
case.
don't have to go before the voters.
I know, because you're gonna interpret this like this, but you refuse to do that. You don't have confidence in what you wanna do. You say, I
Okay.
have this budget, I have these projects, we're in need. Voters, I need to be able to go over this 8%.
I don't have projects. Those are bond projects. What I have are repairs and maintenance, things that happen.
Oh, there.
They were over in Mosswood today because they had a break yesterday. They were over there repairing. Actually, I think it was in front of your house or 2 houses down from your house. Okay? When mains break,
No, they
last
weren't.
weekend they were out 2 weekends ago. They
No,
were
they were
out on
putting in-
Holly
They're
Springs.
putting in a
It-
storm, putting in a drain for the neighbor, you know that.
What?
They're
Where?
putting in For the guy that built the house next door to me.
That's you. That's you. I'm talking about over in Mosswood, and I'm talking about the problem on Holly Springs,
Holly
and I'm
Springs
talking
got
about, yeah,
Well,
Holly
you were
Springs
you were
ran for
saying
3
that over
days.
where I live, they were doing that.
Her,
Oh,
the lady sitting
point.
behind you. I don't even know her name.
I didn't know
but
it was
the lady-
about.
What is
Anyway,
it?
the whole point is,
Angela.
the proper, in my opinion, is to develop district and go up.
That's
and
your
do-
opinion.
That's
You
my
just said
opinion.
it.
I'm
Okay.
entitled to that.
Okay.
And follow the law and go over to the voter and say,
Okay.
we need to have this more percentage. So we don't
Okay.
have this thing established as precedence for the future.
Okay, thank you.
I've looked up on the average water bill, about 8,000 gallons. It's gonna end up being $9.50 more a month for water. My house is gonna end up being $15 more a month.
And that's with
And
only a 15% increase, which is only gonna cover, what, a little over $100,000, 150,000?
$154,000.
154,000. Where are we gonna come up with the other 250? Or do we just say, Robert, you got a break in your main? Sorry, you're not gonna have water for about a week until we can figure out where we're gonna get the money to fix it. Is that what you want me to do?
So-
Robert, you don't have sewer for a month. Because you know what? I don't have any money to fix your sewer.
I have no more comment, I just want to.
Well, I'm just asking you. Is
I'm not going
that,
to
give
answer the
me,
question, I just say, because I don't think that's realistic right now.
I think it's very realistic with the amount we spent on repairs and maintenance last year? And the amount of repairs and maintenance we're having daily?
I said several years ago, I said sometime back, increase the water rates. Get them
We
up to
did
about
increase the
$150 a month or $200. Because I told you what the city of Houston had back then was $200 water bills.
You know what would happen if we
And I
did
know-
that? We'd have a mutiny
Well, that's
if we
where,
raised our water
well,
bills
that's where
that
you-
way. My water bill was $400 last month. I thought they made a mistake because my water bill is never more than 50.
yeah, I know, because you said you don't want it.
That's right, I don't water my lawn. Well, apparently my husband was messing with the sprinklers because it was over $400 last
I'm
month.
not gonna say, that's the only point I'm making about the
So,
whole deal.
Okay.
I think the categorization as developing is not
Okay.
a proper application here in our case.
Point taken.
As a subdivision.
Okay, Kristen, did you?
I just had a question. What's the average water bill in RPMUD?
Well, I can tell you that the average usage for RP is
10 to something, 10 to 14?
10 to 20.
10 to 20.
Yeah, here it is right here.
Mine was 15,000 gallons.
We
is what
have
I used.
what is it? We have 500 customers that use between 10 and 20,000, and that's it.
So what's that average out to, like $60 a month?
About 53, because
Well,
that's where I used
it
to be.
doesn't give me the dollar amount, it's just
Yeah.
telling me
Yeah,
how much water most customers are using.
So 15,000 gallons is $47.25 a month. But then there's sewer, which is $39 a month, which is a different place on
Right.
top of that. So
And that's
it's
flat rate.
$86.25,
Okay.
which is cheap. And there's nobody in, can tell you.
right.
City
Even
Commerce, 300
10 years
bucks.
ago, when
Right.
I lived in Spring, mine was that much or more every month.
Harris County.
And,
Right.
yeah, Harris County was there. Yeah.
Right. So,
This amount's
I
gonna
was
make mine
wrong. I was wrong
$15
about
more a
it.
month.
It's 3 to 10,000 gallons, it's 478 customers. So half the subdivision uses 10,000 or less a month.
Which is gonna be about $9 more a month for those people.
which in order to cover the $450,000 shortfall, we would have to more than double
That's
the rates.
about $80 to $100 a month water bill, roughly, at 10,000 gallons.
At 8,000 gallons,
How
it'll
you
be,
figure
Right now, it would go up, that's 50 cents per thousand, so that would be $5.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, water bill right now, if you're using 10,000, it's gonna be in the $80 to $100 range.
Right
it's,
now?
No.
it's
No.
$53 right now,
No.
and if they use,
Mine
the
is.
new one would be 63.
Well, but you're adding the sewer on there.
No, I'm talking total, everything.
Well, you
It's
got, you got $39 for the sewer, and you would
I'm not
have,
talking just water, I'm talking the.
Understand.
Okay.
you would have $39 for the sewer, and for the water, you would have, that's the first 10,000, you would have about $35 for water,
So 50, 64.
about $64.
See, that's small stuff, because what's gonna happen, you figure the average homeowner is gonna be between $400, $500 a month tax increase, and they're not expecting
That's
that.
not a month.
I mean, a year,
Not a year.
$400 to $500, so there you're talking basically $40 a month. So if you bump your water bill more than 40, average, get 40 out of the water bill, plus put some extra because people turn their water off, and you'll get your money. And then, of course, really the whole problem, like I said, is a developing district and not a developed district. But that's the way to do it, and stay within the 8% limit.
But for tax purposes, you can also utilize, for
The
those
property
that, for
taxes are a
those
deduction,
that utilize the deduction.
especially for people with rental houses and things like that.
Well, rental people, they don't care about, I guarantee you that.
Oh,
I take every deduction I can.
he's
I
gonna
do.
say, go
I do
ahead,
too.
go ahead and
I
defend
would-
the person sitting next to you. I'm talking about for the rental property owner, not the
home
Yeah, I
tenant.
know, and I have rental property in Houston in the Heights.
Well,
So we
then you
talked
should be
about it.
taking the property taxes as a deduction.
You bet it, but you can't take it as a homeowner unless you have a lot of deductions applied. You have your
No, I
standard.
understand. I understand.
So that's an invalid argument for how many, I guess, a
Well, I don't know that
percentage
it's an
of people.
invalid argument, it just may not apply to everybody, but
And
it's still a valid argument.
For
and
people
it's
that are
not
living
gonna
on
be-
social security, not me, but people that are living on fixed income, I guarantee you, unless.
That's
they
not
have
true,
a
because
big
think about what their house is valued at. They didn't come in and just buy a house at one of these higher prices. They've been here a while. If they're on a fixed income, they've been here a while. So their price, their house is gonna take a while to get up to that market value where the other people that just bought their houses. So they're gonna be paying less taxes.
If you hit them with a $400 a month water bill now, on a fixed income, what are they gonna do?
I'm gonna tell you, I almost had a cow when I got my $400 water
I got a
bill.
neighbor, he's been here since '69, and he's already figured it out. It's gonna be 400 and XX dollars, and he's been here that long, so he's retiree. And he doesn't have any big mansion or expensive house, and so he's on fixed income. So that's my point. You spread it out over the month, and then, yeah, and
That's
you publish what you're
$48 a
gonna-
month.
You publish
Don't
what
go
you-
to
all this
dinner
good
one
stuff
night.
you're gonna do. And also include how much you're gonna save in money, where you can save money, and I can start, you know, where I can start. But then you can do that, and then you don't have people hit with a big tax bill at Christmas time.
All right, so here's well, if they're waiting to pay it at Christmas time, it's really not due until February. But if they're waiting to pay it at Christmas time, I can't help. I don't write checks for everybody to say, let's write it the week of Christmas or whatever. But, so you would rather go with a 400% rate increase on your water rate,
That's what he could do 3 years ago.
huh?
That's what he wanted to do 3 years ago.
So you want a 400% rate increase on your water rates.
Because we were paying, what, $30? So if
Roughly?
you go up close to 150, 200, and instead of having this bond, which that's already done, but because you haven't figured out yet how much work you're getting out of that bond money versus how much you're paying in overhead to carry it.
Okay.
But I don't want to discuss that any further.
All right, yeah.
Thank you
So,
for listening to me.
Thank
Don,
you.
that's all.
Okay, does anybody else have any comments on the bond, on the tax rate?
I actually have a question.
Okay,
I don't mind the tax rate being increased. I understand there's maintenance that needs to be done, things need to be handled. My
it's not
question-
just maintenance, repairs have not been done in 40 to 50 years. And now we are paying for
I
it.
understand that, I'm completely okay with the rate. My question is what is to stop it from going up again this much next year, or selling bonds? I mean, how is this going to fix the problem and we don't have to mess with it again?
We've already done a bond issue,
Well, I know, but is it possible that y'all do another one?
not for a while.
Okay.
We shouldn't need one for a while because we have authorized, what was it, 15 million? 15 million, so we shouldn't need one for a while, yeah.
Or we sell 6?
Correct.
Yeah.
So we've still got the ability to
Issue,
sell
yeah.
$9 million
19.
worth of bonds. So, but in long term, sure, we could do another bond down the road,
Right.
but it's gonna be a while before that would happen.
And with the
hope is in doing all of the capital repairs that you've done, that you will reduce your maintenance costs.
Right.
Right? I mean, the problem that the district has right now is that it's just whack-a-mole with these collapsed lines everywhere. And it is those emergency repairs that are particularly expensive, whereas when you do a larger rehabilitation project, there's economy of scale, right? You're replacing and repairing a number of lines with a qualified contractor, as opposed to, trying to find somebody that you're rushing out in the middle of the night, where candidly you pay a premium. So,
Or on a
hopefully
Saturday or
we're-
a Sunday and that seems to be when all of our problems are happening, after 5 o'clock. I get no calls from 8 to 5.
Right.
They all happen 5:05, I can guarantee you, I'm getting a text, I'm getting a call, or I'm getting an email telling me there's a problem.
It was on a Sunday afternoon on
Yep.
Holly Springs again.
Yep, and I can tell you, it's 5:05 every night, Saturdays and Sundays, all day long. During the day, I'm not hearing a word from them.
But on my street on Stone Mountain, that repair was $228,000. I mean, that's a lot. And when there's a problem, it's not gonna be $10,000 or $20,000.
Right.
It's gonna be a lot.
Right, because you're still paying a premium COVID prices have not gone back down just because COVID's not here anymore. Yeah, okay?
From an
There-
accounting
Also
standpoint,
worth adding that we did prioritize the worst areas with the bond proceeds, so that the areas with the most problematic sanitary sewer, storm sewer, manhole repairs, the goal is to use all of those bond proceeds to fix the things that are most likely to fail first. But obviously we don't, have sufficient funds to replace the entire system, so.
one observation I have about the budget, and I heard last meeting, you said, well, we have 9 months funds available, I guess you have. But basically, you should be 12
Actually, I
months.
think it was like 8.
But
yeah.
basically, you should, okay, 8 or whatever, but it should be 12.
No, it's really closer to 6 or 7.
6 or 7, but from an accounting standpoint.
And regarding the 12, excuse me, when your budget gets as high as this one is, when you have kind of a larger system, a lot of districts will target, it's up to the board, it's up to the district, it's up to the community. But a lot of districts will target something more than a 12-month reserve.
Yeah, because the way I would look at a reserve is, I look at the property that's being depreciated. You put in new property now, new capital assets, and I would set aside funds, because that property gets depreciated, the funds get put back into an account, that when that property needs to be replaced, you've got the money available.
We would love to try
That's
to
a
do
sep-
that.
But that's one of the goals I would have.
We
I
would
encourage you
love to do that, but we've got to have the revenue to do that.
Yeah.
If we're operating month to month, which we're
I'm not
going to be
saying-
shortly,
I'm not saying not giving you the money, I'm just saying that from my standpoint, I don't want to see the categorization as being developing, because that's a categorization that's in perpetuity.
we beat that
Beat
horse.
that, yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, I have to, I'm talking here about, we're talking about the taxes. I'd be okay with the tax at the end of the year. Because, yeah, you're gonna hit people with a big amount monthly. They are gonna start cutting back.
Right.
Another thing, I would like all of you directors to go through all the bills, see what you can cut. There was fat there. I mean, I have been on this for years, just to cut expenses. But
There's
don't-
not a whole lot of fat, but
Well,
there is some. But
there is some.
you can't focus on the $100 a year things, because that's 10 cents a house. If you have a problem with 10 cents a house, I'll give you a dime.
No, but the thing is, what you're not considering is it's ongoing. It's all gonna start adding up. And this is what you've gotta look, it's our money.
I understand that.
So,
I totally understand that, but $100 in
Well, I'm not
a
looking
district
at
with 1,000
$100
connections,
on what I'm seeing too on the expenses, but I think everybody should be looking at that.
Do you have an example?
Well, I have an example of the booking.
well, and that issue
And
has
we're aware
been
of that.
brought up,
We've been
and we've been
Working on it for 4 months to get her,
Yeah.
so that's cost down.
It's hard to find a
She's
new
not here at the
bookkeeper.
meetings anymore.
You know, I'm really surprised that you can't find somebody to do this.
Those are pretty pictures, big friend. I like that.
That's
Well,
what
we
you're
don't see
paying
them
for.
anymore.
We don't see them anymore because it was $600 a meeting for those pretty colored pictures. So,
We don't have, she's not printing copies, we stopped that because that was
Yeah.
extra. We can go and print
We
them
can
ourselves.
tell-
if we
yeah.
want to.
To our own copies?
Yep.
But we have talked about that, and we're trying to address it. Is there anything else that you saw that you feel like we need to do some trimming on?
Well, I think when you compare bills from one month to the next, I mean, if you see something, it's off, check and call and see. I mean,
like what?
well, I
Give me
mean,
an example.
Well, I would even say even sometime utilities, people call and say, gee, we got such a big bill, we called up and there was an error, so we got it fixed. I mean, I'm just saying compare.
I will tell you, MOC's bill, I go through monthly. I get it usually a week before the meeting, and I go through it. I have a spreadsheet I've started making on what customers call repeatedly, because we're gonna start implementing a possible bill back situation for some people that call every month to have their meters reread.
Oh, goodness.
It's money out of our pocket, okay?
I thought
Every time they
that-
call,
I
so,
thought
but
they
yes,
were
I
only
do
gonna
look
do
at,
that once. And
they do, then they start charging,
Yeah, right,
correct.
okay.
And they don't charge them, They
No,
charge us.
They were charging the people. If you
No.
call it enough.
We're their customers, not them.
They charge us.
My observation, if you're looking for input, I mean, these guys online right now, Paul and Davis, they're good guys. I like to talk with them, they're interesting, and I learn a lot from them. But I'd like to see you as a board where you don't have such a dependence and you can break free, because if you budget $180,000, and there's one study I want to do.
So you want us to go back to the way it was?
I didn't say to the back, but I saw where it used to be $6,000 a month, and that was, or maybe annually.
That's because they never came.
But then that's
That's
what they were
because they
told not
never
to.
asked, they never.
I was in here when they were here, and they said, okay, and that'd be the first thing on the meeting, and then the lawyer would speak, and is that all? Yes, and you may leave, sir. Okay, that was it. I'm not asking for that. I'm just saying, if you look at, first of all, the activities performed, as I mentioned, how many calls they get, what are the things, that their contribution, I know it's a lot because they do teach us a lot. I mean, they're educational, I enjoy hearing them, but it's costing us money. And,
Yes, sir, it
and how
is.
much are we
Every
doing,
minute that we're
how much
spending.
litigation, yeah, I know, it's $7.50 an hour right now,
Yep,
unless they went up since
so
COVID.
keep going, because I'll
Okay.
keep you on the
There you
clock.
go. But
So,
I'm saying that if they look after their customer too, they want to figure out how we can help save us money. So maybe they can provide you some.
they
input.
have, they quit coming out here for meetings.
I know that.
They're doing it Zoom.
I see that, yeah, but here again, that's a large, you're looking at close to 18% of your total income spent on legal fees. And that's $180,000 a year.
But look at the types of things we've had go on this past year. How many people, how many homeowners have we had to take legal action against? How Taucus we've had to take legal action against. Storm Tech we've had to take
Well, that's
legal
where-
action against.
And
It's all part of the legal fees.
I'm not saying that, I'm just saying their activities, their contributions, because I know you're looking at providing a input to the group here about
Right,
the citizenry.
Right.
Of what's being done in this.
Right.
But that's an area that most people are not aware of. But they look at that big number and they see nothing done in terms of how much dirt was turned, how many water lines were repaired, and that kind of thing. That's what it means. But the other activity that you pointed out, that they've accomplished for us, put that in your report as well. If you feel that strongly to say.
Okay. All right, anyone else have, Denise,
I would like to say to the board, to all the board,
attorneys?
the attorneys as well, thank you very much for helping get our community back to where it can run safely and the way it should be, the way it should have been done. I had an area in front of my home that you guys had to spend a lot of money to come and repair. And just seeing that black crumpled pipe being pulled out of the ground in 10 to 12-inch sections because they couldn't pull the whole thing because they had collapsed. Just seeing that being done and seeing the damage that it had done to my neighbor's home,
Right.
to their backyard. Excuse me, I said I misspoke, home. It was to their backyard. It was absolutely, I mean, I would have been
Right.
having a fit with the mud had that been my backyard.
Yeah.
But they lost trees, they lost ground. It was very dangerous to have in the backyard. And what you guys have
Yeah,
done.
I mean, we're trying to fix them. I mean, we don't go in everybody's backyard, so we don't know
Right.
where there's
Right.
problems.
Yeah.
So people have to let us know if they have a problem.
Mhm.
But, you know,
You've been
I'm
dealt a
trying, I
hard
will tell,
hand.
huh?
You were dealt a hard
Yes.
hand.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
all things considered,
we
you've
are
done it.
trying to fix them and prioritize them.
Right.
You know, if you have a sinkhole that's not affecting anything, you're not gonna be as far up the list as somebody whose garage is about to
Yes.
collapse because the sinkhole is underneath their garage or their house. That's a problem.
Mhm.
That one's gotta be addressed before a sinkhole, it's not affecting anything. So but you have to tell us.
Yes.
Because
Just
I
as
don't
a
go in
homeowner,
1,000 yards.
We appreciate what you
So-
guys do. all
Yeah,
of you.
thank you.
But, yeah, thank you. But and I've been trying for months to get people to, if you have a problem, tell us before it gets
Yeah,
that bad.
yeah,
You know?
before your garage.
Before your garage
foundation
is about to
breaks.
fall in.
Well,
Yeah.
I've been going out, looking at,
Yeah.
taking pictures when we're doing actual repair work, and those pipes that are coming out have been crushed for a long
Yes.
time. They're old,
Mhm.
they're dilapidated, and the previous 5 years ago, they did a Band-Aid on everything. They never replaced it, never even thought about replacing it. Because I came to some of those meetings, like over here on Brandon, and they just kept putting sand in it, rocking it, sand,
Mhm.
never
My
fixed
house.
it, never fixed it.
Yeah.
So they're fixing these now, but when they start pulling out the pipe, just like right in there across the street from you, those pipes that they're pulling out of there were metal corrugated pipe and in terrible shape.
And most of them are undersized, which is,
Yes.
Yeah.
we're
And every
we're
time we
working on.
see those concrete sections come in, it's like, yes.
Yeah.
They're doing it right now.
Yes,
Yeah, we
it's
had 2
doing it right.
semis full this 2 days ago come in.
Mhm.
Well, I think the whole neighborhood has no clue what really
But
goes on.
Julie's trying to get on
So,
social
and-
media,
yeah.
because look what we're doing.
So
That
it's
helps.
a lot more than any
That
of us
does help.
realize.
Yeah, so,
Thank
but
you.
yeah, I mean,
Doing
it
a
could
good
be,
job.
I mean, we literally, somebody is working on this project daily. It's not a once a month, somebody gets a phone call. I mean, and I'm not just talking about me, I'm talking about the entire board. You know, Carl was out the day you called, Carl had called the day before, I guess, he called MOC on the water on Holly Springs. And then, so we're all constantly working on this. Whether you see it or not, you know, until the big machines come in, that's what most people see. But I can guarantee you, Natchez, how many hours did we spend on Natchez? Too many, yeah. I bet you I put probably 120 hours on Natchez. Easily.
Does that have to do with the sewer that was put in for that neighbor?
That had a lot to do with a lot of things. But anyway, Natchez, I guarantee you, I don't know what MOC's bill, how many hours MOC put on that job. They also had to call in 3 other companies.
Well, I'm hoping
So-
that, like David said in the
They got
last
billed
meeting,
back.
that we got a,
We did
that
get a
we got
good deposit.
We did get a deposit.
Yeah.
So you're being reimbursed.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
That's good.
anyway, okay, so who else? Are we good? All right, are we good with the public hearing?
I have one question.
Oh, I'm sorry, one more, okay.
I don't know if there is a representative from the county tax office, because I know. RP
Here?
Yeah. Does anybody happen to know how many over 65 exemptions exist in the neighborhood? There's gotta be a lot, I would think.
Would think
I think it's dropped.
I think it's
I-
dropping, I think a lot of elderly. people.
Yeah, I think it's dropped
moved
more
out.
than,
We're getting a lot more younger people.
yeah.
It's a lot, but like they said, it's dropping.
And actually, there is a thing, I can answer that question because I get a report from them every month. I just don't happen to have it with me that tells me. So, you're more than welcome to email me.
Does it also tell you how many of those people have deferrals?
No.
Even though MOC or the engineer's not here, one more thing I noticed. The camera people, when they go through, they take off the well on these manhole covers. And in Natchez Park and Braxton Bragg, I guarantee you, all the trucks that come in and out of there for the last 6 months, that manhole cover spent more time off. And if you ever look down one of those covers and see what's down there, hopefully you don't see a kid down there because he ain't coming out. And so what they did, they took off the wells. All those manhole covers we have in our subdivision, I'm pretty sure, have what's called a tack wells. Just a little well hotspot. Because as long as I've lived there, I've never seen the bottom of that manhole. And I can take you down to the next location that's above, but it's backed off, but it's a big manhole. And I know it had a weld on it too, though, secured. Keep people.
You're talking about
from
the
getting
lids?
The lids.
They're not secured because you can walk out there with a manhole puller and pull them right up.
If you tack weld it, it won't be pulled up, I guarantee you. Because I had a neighbor.
Pull up.
I was gonna say,
I had a neighbor, he got out there with a chipping hammer because he wanted to look down it.
Okay.
And he started tacking, get that weld off of there, and it couldn't come off, and they couldn't get it up. Because he had a crowbar on it.
Wasting money.
Yeah.
But here again, the camera people, because as long as I've lived there, I've never seen that manhole cover come off the way it does now. So if you put that on your list,
Okay.
I've talked to MOC, And I've talked to Travis there, and it should be the engineer probably, because it's the scammer people that took that weld off of the lid.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, so
And
getting
if
back
I
to the
do, if I
tax
can
rate.
respond to the, oh, I'm sorry, I was
No.
just gonna say, I believe we have 293 over 65 or disabled exemptions. It's the
Okay.
same exemption for those that are over 65 or disabled. And I'll just add that, just if it's helpful, we include the tax report in, I believe we're including the tax report in the meeting packet every month, or at least it was included last month.
Yeah,
So,
it's there every month.
If anybody would like it.
I had it, I just don't know how to read it.
Yeah.
It's a little confusing.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
No problem. It's a lot of information and it kind of comes through in a funky way, so.
Yes.
Okay, so, everybody, any more comments on the tax rate? I'm afraid to ask that question. Okay. So, can I do this a little bit different, and you can tell me if I can't do this? I think what we have to do is we have a decision we have to make. Do we go with the tax rate? Do we go with the water rate increase? Do we do a combination of the two? How are we gonna cover that budget shortfall?
I thought we were gonna do a combination of the two. I thought that sounded good.
I don't know if we voted on
So,
that.
we
but
didn't vote on
certainly
anything
discussed
yet.
it, and I'm for doing a combination.
So, oh,
The first item is to just close the public hearing, and you have two items on the agenda to consider, the tax, one for the tax rate and one for the water rates, and I think it is perfectly fine to discuss which one you want to consider first in an effort to close the budget gap, if that makes
okay,
sense.
all right, so we're gonna close the public hearing on the tax rate, okay? So, can we talk about them both together? Because I think
Sure.
they have to work together, so.
That's perfectly fine. You need to vote on them separately, but both items are on the agenda for board discussion.
Okay, so so with Tim's calculations of 100, what was it, 105?
152,000.
152,000. That will reduce the tax rate by 4 cents. The proposed tax rate, 4 cents. It'll take it from 44 to 40. Comments? I'm asking for comments.
And, yeah, I'm trying to figure out what the effect is of that.
The effect is the same thing, 450,000, hopefully.
It shouldn't change the effect, it's just a matter of
How you're gonna pay for it.
how it's paid for.
Okay, so
Some of it's gonna come out
you're
of,
suggesting we go from 44 to 40?
No, he just did a calculation that said if we did an across the board, that's sewer, that's water, everything, across the board, 15% increase. Okay? It's gonna get us about 152,000, okay? From our 400 and something that we were short.
Which is what our goal is to cover, right?
Which is what our goal is to cover. The other 40 cents has to come from taxes.
Okay, well, I have one question that I'm not clear on.
Okay.
And I think we spent a lot this year because of the fiber optics issues. Seems like every week.
They're still here.
Well, they're not doing like they were though.
They're not. But
Well,
East
we were
Plantation
spending-
is still having problems.
We were spending lots and lots of money on fiber optics repairs all over the place this year. And I think that's probably part of what put us behind.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm sure that that's figured into your budget, or not figured into your budget really, that piece won't be there.
No, but we're also having more water breaks because of the drought.
Well, yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
So how do I figure that in?
And we're having water breaks because of the new construction.
Yeah.
That's what happened across my house last Friday. They broke the water line when they're putting in the drain lines.
Yeah, they should be paying for that one, whoever broke it.
Who? I don't know, I
I
didn't
agree.
hear about that one.
I agree with that.
So, but, how are you going to,
Yeah, I don't know, I'm just saying, it seems to me that we may get a little.
so then you give me a number for repairs and
I don't know
maintenance.
the number, you know, I don't know it. I'm
The
just
only
saying.
thing I can do is go by what we did this year.
I understand that.
Because prices are not going
I
down,
guess
prices
what
are
I'm
only
saying
going
is that
up.
hopefully, if we take that 15 cents across, 15%
50%.
across the board,
15 cents.
15 cents.
No,
No,
15%.
15%.
Yeah, if
You're
we
right.
did the 15%,
15%.
hopefully this time next year, we'll be able to back up a little bit, because we won't have a lot of the expenses that we had
Perhaps.
in this physical year.
Maybe.
That would be great.
You know, I mean, that would be my,
But you can also reduce the tax rate.
I don't know, you can go both ways.
No, well, no, once you publish it, you can't go back up. You can only
The
go down.
following year, we can reduce it.
Correct. Yeah. So, what is your, I guess what is your answer?
I don't have an answer,
Oh.
I'd say, other than I'd say.
What is your proposal?
I would say what Tim's proposing sounds good to me, just go across the board, let's get it cleared up, and
So then
next
what
year,
happens?
hopefully, we can back it down.
What happens if people see that 15% increase and cut down and quit using water like they're using?
I'm not going to.
I don't think we can do that, that's, you're talking about $15.
You don't, I will too.
I will cut
Because when I
out.
got my $400 water bill last month, I guarantee you.
I was like, my water bill was,
But I can tell you
3
right
times
now
as
that
much
our water
as
bills,
last
even if we go half of that, if we go to 200, we're still lower than most people,
Oh, absolutely.
you know?
If we do what now?
Even if we went to 200, we'd still be lower than most of the other people paying. Look at the people in Crichton Ridge and Conroe and everywhere else, look what they're paying. Look at what the people over in Central, what is it, Central Park, what they're paying over there.
Plus, we already have a lot of people not using very much water. If you drive around the neighborhood, you see brown water. So there's a lot of people already not using
Yeah,
water.
but that's not good because that's not revenue we're not making.
I know, but they're not doing it now.
To cover our
They're
bills.
gonna-
I don't know, I've been watering that brown grass.
That's the opposite effect of what we need to
Right,
happen.
But
Instead of
it's
having
already
mandatory.
It's already
It's
happening,
already
is what I'm
happening.
saying.
Right.
Has
So it's
mandatory.
not-
I think some people figured out they fought the battle and they lost.
You got
That's
any
right.
suggestions other
You're right,
than
Robert.
15%
You
across
lost
the
the
board?
battle.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
the
That
15%
grass ain't gonna be green.
is good.
Sounds fine.
I think the 15%.
I like that, I
I
like
I
having
let
a
the
split.
authorities, so
Plus the, and then is there a different one for the M&O then?
40 cents.
40 cents, okay.
Do we need to make a separate motion for
Yes.
sewage
Oh,
and water pricing? Or is it one package deal for water and sewage and then another package deal for taxes?
The latter, Tim, you have, the rate schedule that you adopt that includes all of your rates.
Okay.
And then, you have the updated rates, that you've provided. And then you have the, adoption of the tax rate. And so
Okay.
we'll need a motion, to approve the updated rate schedule, if that's what you'd like to do, and then we'll need a motion on the tax rate with some clarification on what the debt service rate will be and what the M&O rate will be.
Davis, maybe I missed it, but I haven't seen anywhere the effluent cost in any of these documents that we're charging the golf course. Does that need to be as part of this budget going forward, or this pricing going forward?
Is Keith there? Are we
No.
generating any revenue on that right now?
He said that we are collecting.
a little
last
bit,
time,
yeah. It's a minimal amount.
But I'm just saying the rate should be published, right?
We have the rate, I believe it's set out in a contract we have with them.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And they pay only for what they use, and most of the time they haven't turned it off.
Right. But they've turned it on a
They-
lot this summer.
Yeah.
if you go to the public rates.
But I'm just saying, we're publishing a price structure, does that need to be part of that price structure? Just from a legal standpoint.
That's a good question. Let me double check that, but I understand that there is no intention to change that rate, and I'll ensure that there are no changes there. If that makes sense.
Okay. All right, somebody make a motion.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the new tax rate,
Of
40 cents per Hardwick?
Yeah.
Correct.
No.
Do I have a second?
40 cents, Tim, I think would be the maintenance and operations.
M&O,
yeah.
25 cents would be the debt rate, so for a total rate of 65 cents.
Okay?
Okay. Okay, do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I vote no, because I don't think you're gonna have a steady revenue stream of water revenue, but I'll vote no. So you have 4 yeas and 1 no. So, okay, so then you wanna do the one for the increase on the rates, water rates? Somebody wanna make a motion?
Is that 15 cents across the board?
15%.
15%. I make a motion that we change the schedule of the water rates by 50, add up to 15%.
No, not up to, 15.
To 15%.
To be clear, the rates that Tim provided have been incorporated into the rate schedule that is in front for your consideration, so it's not exactly, because of rounding and everything, it's
Right.
not
Yeah, there's a
exactly
couple pennies that might
Yeah.
be off.
15%, and in some cases it might be, slightly more, so.
Right, okay,
Okay.
So,
okay. So we got a motion, do I have a second?
I second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'm gonna say nay again, because I voted nay on the other one, so. Okay, all right, so the next thing is the amendment to the statement of the directors. I think we already signed that.
Is that what we signed?
and that's just the document that goes in the real property records. Anytime you adopt your tax rate, we file the updated tax rate in the real property records, so that everybody is aware of it. So.
Okay, all right, the number 5, number 5, the order schedule, the water and sewer service fees, we just kind of did with number 3. Okay, executive session. Do we want to go into executive session, Paul? Or Davis, either one?
I'll leave that up to you. We have some things we can talk about tonight or talk about at the regular meeting, pending and litigation and some condemnation stuff, but it's nothing urgent.
You want to do it now, so maybe we can make next week or next, whatever it is, 2 weeks from now shorter?
Sure, that'd be great.
Oh.
That'd be
I'm
great.
agreeing with that, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Thank you guys.
No problem, thanks for
Thank you,
coming up,
folks.
Warren.
Hey, thank you for entertaining my comments.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you, Dad.
Good, and just real quick, Carl, you had asked earlier about the rate schedule and the inclusion of the effluent rate.
Yes.
I will tell you that in the original agreement, the agreement that the board came to was that, remember, it would be $10 a year, and so it was not spelled out in the rate order, and so we actually provided notice pursuant to the agreement of the rate increase, so it is a contractual rate and not a rate in the rate order.
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah,
good.
so just a little bit of a different kind of unusual process because it's a single customer arrangement, so.
That's good.
All right,
I make a motion, we adjourn the meeting.
I second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next meeting is
September 28th.
September 28th.
You can't